Thank you, Speaker. My question is for the Premier. This week, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change released a chilling report stressing that there must be rapid, deep, and immediate cuts to climate pollution. It's now or never for climate action. Yet this same week, the government introduced legislation to support fossil fuel consumption and accelerated their scheme to build the Bradford Bypass Holland Marsh Highway. It's clear the Premier's big, sprawl, expensive agenda clearly trumps climate action and adaptation. Speaker, we need to protect water, farmland, and wetlands. Our lives and livelihoods depend on it. That's why I've put forward a Bluebelt plan to double the size of the Greenbelt. Speaker, will the Premier say yes to clean water and local food, and yes to our plan to double the size of the Greenbelt?
Thank you. I recognize the Minister of Environment, Conservation and Parks.
Thank you, Speaker, and I thank the member opposite for that question. Speaker, what you really heard in that question was fundamentally no to any growth in the province of Ontario. This Premier has said yes to record investments into transit. We're seeing tangible reductions in the largest source of GHGs being transportation as we transition to electric vehicles, the only province and first province to launch clean transportation fuels. As we work with industry, we've seen a phase-out of coal from some of the largest industry emitters, working with the steel sector for a 6 megaton reduction. Speaker, we've launched the largest wetlands restoration program in Ontario's history. In fact, I was just at the Winkworth property in my riding to see a project that started in the 80s continuing to grow. Speaker, we understand that we have to plan for growth in the province of Ontario. That means the dignity of a new Canadian, a house over their head, as it was for my grandfather when he immigrated from Italy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker.
Supplementary, I return to the member from Guelph.
Speaker, what you just heard in that answer is the government is saying yes to expensive, big sprawl. I don't understand what the government has against local food and farmers. I don't understand why the government refuses to protect Ontarians from flooding. I don't know why they want to continue to build these super sprawl, super pollution highways that we simply can't afford. Why does the government want to force people into expensive, long commutes, spending time away from their family and friends, when instead we can build connected, livable, affordable homes in places near where we work? Will the government take this opportunity to say yes to farmers, yes to local food, yes to protecting us from flooding, and yes to doubling the Greenbelt?
Thank you. I return to the Minister of Conservation, Parks and Environment.
Speaker, what you really heard, it's so disappointing from that member opposite, is no. He said no to any future road or highway growth. We've said yes. And he says the member opposite wants us to listen to the science. The science in the environmental assessment said that gridlock is paralyzing growth of this province and future generations. Speaker, that member wants a farmer in rural Ontario to bike. That member is against the historic EV investments in this province has made. The leadership of this minister, perhaps it's because he's against the critical mineral strategy, because he'd rather see China succeed, the Communist Party of China, and he wouldn't like to see investments in the north, Martin Falls and Webequie, led by Indigenous, and historic investments into EV, historic investments, the lowest carbon major transit project with the Ontario line. We're going to keep doing that, working with